Hi guys, and welcome back to another video where today we're going to be predicting the scores for week 38, the final weekend of the 2018-2019 Premier League season. Now before we get onto this week, let's have a quick look back at how poorly we got on last week, because it was a disaster.
Well, I think pretty much mine was more than a disaster. I had 2 points, which is the lowest of our season.
Yeah, I only fared slightly better. I come away with 4 points, Nathan. So overall now for the season, you're on 251 points and I'm on 270 points. So a bit of catching up this week to see if you can beat me.
I don't think I can even beat you with the amount.
In the overall scores for the season. Looking at the comment section as well, not too many high scores at all. But 2 people did come away with 9 points, and that was Matthew Medley and Evan Grismala. I think that's how you pronounce it. Both come away with 9 points, as I said, so congratulations to the both of you. For those of you who are playing along in the Fantasy Football League, here is the top 10. And once again, in first position is Sorry Not Sorry, managed by Jason Wade. Had a game week pointage of 55 points, which he's got 2,337 points overall. And he's narrowly ahead of Webby Webstars, managed by Josh Webb, who's really rocketed up the league in the past few weeks. He is on 2,302 points. So it's looking like Jason Wade is going to win the league. However, I think Josh will have a little bit to say about that. So we'll see how it goes into this final week. Top scorer of the week, though, in the Fantasy Football League was Shane O'Donnell, who's been around for a little while now, commenting, etc. I think past couple of seasons. He had 82 points for the week, 2,049 points overall, and he's in position 47th. Nathan, you had 49 points last week.
Terrible again.
You're in position 43 and 2,068 points overall. And I'm in position 46, just behind you, with 58 points, and I have a score of 2,052 points overall. But enough of that, let's just crack on and make some predictions.
Okay, so first up we have Brighton versus Man City. Now Man City win this one, they've won the title. So yeah, they're coming up against a Brighton team who are not doing good at all. Pep is going to put out their full strength team, beat Brighton by as many as they can, make sure they can secure that title as early as possible. They're going to do it, and I think it's going to be a 4-0 Man City win.
4-0 against Brighton.
Against Brighton.
Interesting. Well, I've gone for a slightly conservative score in this one. I think Manchester City will win. They've won 13 matches now on the bounce, so that's absolutely fantastic, just to keep ahead of Liverpool. Brighton, in the last 4 matches, they've drawn 3 of those matches. Some people say they could be parking the bus, but they've done enough for their Premier League survival for next season. We'll see how they get on next season now, but for now, well done. Brighton have managed to stay up. So, but in this match, I think Manchester City, they're going to claim the title, retain the title as well, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 scoreline. Next up, we've got Burnley against Arsenal. Now, Arsenal have only won once out of their last 6 fixtures. Burnley have lost 2 of their last 6 fixtures, and prior to that they were on a pretty good run of form. In this match, Arsenal, terrible away, you could say, for the season. I think they've only won 5 or 6 matches in the entirety of the season, and for a top 6 club, that's not really
that's appalling.
That's not great.
Club.
So I'm going to go for a narrow victory to Burnley in this one, and I'm going to go 2-1.
I've gone for an even narrower Burnley win, I reckon. I think Burnley will actually keep a clean sheet.
Really against Arsenal?
Yes, against Arsenal. I think they'll win 1-0. But honestly, at the moment, Arsenal Fan TV, it's just a theatre every week at the moment. Most of the Arsenal fans saying that none of the players are fit to wear the shirt, they need a complete overhaul, they need to sell their entire defence.
Well, that might be just in the league because they won last week in Europe, and they're going to be playing Thursday evening, and then prior to this match, so that might be a factor in this getting Burnley a result. But Arsenal want to finish on a high as well. I don't think, unless there's a massive turnaround in fortunes, they can get into the top 4. They'd have to win this match by about 5 or 6, and hope Tottenham lose as well. So can't see that happening.
No, it's not going to happen. Next up, we have Palace versus Bournemouth. Now Palace doing well. Again, they haven't lost in the last 3 fixtures, which is really good, and only lost about only lost twice in their last 6, which is good for a side like Palace. Coming up against Bournemouth, starting to turn around a bit.
They were excellent last week.
They were excellent. Yes, they did. They were absolutely fantastic. Even though Son got sent off, he's now banned for 3 matches, I believe, which is not good for them. Also, one of the Tottenham defenders got sent off. I can't remember who it was. Popping up on the screen now. That's who got sent off. By the way, more editing for you.
Yep.
So yeah, this one's tough call to predict, but just because of Palace's form and they're at home, even though they don't traditionally perform at home, I still think Palace are going to edge it, and I think it's going to be 2-1.
Yeah, I agree. I think Palace are going to win this one. Last weekend they come up against Cardiff City, and in the first half, Crystal Palace were excellent. If they can push that into this weekend's fixture, then I don't think they'll have too much problems dispatching Bournemouth. Although Bournemouth seem to be a little bit relaxed at the moment, and maybe relaxing, playing the ball around and everything. They're getting some good results, especially that win against Bournemouth, although they were aided by those 2 sendings off, of course. Yeah, I'm going to go actually for a 3-1 scoreline in this one. Next up, we got Fulham against Newcastle. Now, Fulham recently, I think they've had 3 wins on the trot prior to losing last weekend against Wolves. Newcastle last weekend lost 3-2 narrowly, and you could actually say they were robbed because...
Of course, because the refereeing in this league is absolutely corrupt.
Well, I wouldn't say corrupt, it's a bit of a harsh
He was right in front of the linesman.
I know, right, he was 6 foot away, and the guy just dived, didn't he?
Fabinho.
Fabinho, and then Alexander-Arnold put in the cross, and it was Origi, I think, who put the ball on the back of the net.
Did the same, of course, last night in that victory.
He did. Well done to Liverpool that on coming back against Barcelona.
Yeah, we'll go on to that later.
Yeah, but in this fixture, Newcastle going away to Fulham. The way Newcastle played last week, I think they're going to carve out a narrow win down there in London. Last match of the season, their fans will be in full voice and possibly in fancy dress, and I'm going for a 2-1 victory to Newcastle.
I actually disagree with you.
Really?
Yes, I do. I think it's going to be a draw, 1-1.
Okay. It's gonna be a tight match.
Newcastle, it'll be a tight match. Newcastle, it is the last day, and it's just nothing ever goes to plan on the last day. There's always surprises. But Newcastle never traditionally do well in London, and I think they're on the beach pretty much. To be honest, I think both sides will be, because Fulham still rotating with their youngsters, of course, because they're long down at the moment. But yeah, I think it'll be a last minute goal. I think Newcastle will be ahead for the majority of the match. Difficult one, this one to predict, but I've gone for a draw. Next up, we have Leicester versus Chelsea now. Chelsea been doing alright. They've pretty much secured top 4 now.
They have, couldn't they? So
exactly. Well, 3 wins in their last 6 matches, which is pretty decent. Which pretty much most Chelsea fans would be happy with. However, those victories have been against teams lower down in the table, and they've struggled with teams they have struggled with teams who are in good form at the moment, such as Liverpool and Burnley, and even Man United. I don't know how
Man United.
Terrible.
I say they're in good form. Actually, winning the last 6.
Wheels off the bus. That's all I can say. But coming up against the Leicester side, they seem really good at the moment. Narrowly losing last time around. Who was it? 2. They lost narrowly to Man City with a Vincent Kompany wonder goal.
It was. They were doing
Leicester
really well.
Leicester were really good. Getting wins over Arsenal, drew against West Ham, and then beating teams around them, really. So, but I think Leicester at home, they're going to edge it on the last day, and I think it's going to be a 2-1 Foxes win.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's going to be a tight affair. Both teams can go out really and express themselves. Okay, Chelsea might want to finish in 3rd position. Leicester want to try and finish as high as they can. They can't get that 7th spot, but I think they're going to go out there, as I say, express themselves. It should be a good game, but I think they're going to cancel each other out, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 scoreline. Next up, we got Liverpool against Wolves. Now, Liverpool having that fantastic victory over Barcelona, coming back from 3-0 down at the Camp Nou, back at Anfield, cracking atmosphere up there. Brought it back. Origi scored first, and then crowd got behind them and ended at 4-0.
Yeah.
They're coming up against the Wolverhampton team, of course, who've done really well against the top 6 this season. I think the manager was up for manager of the year as well. of the year.
Yeah, season, yeah.
Or he's what's his name? Dos Santos is
Nuno Espirito Santo.
That's right. His long treble, quadruple-barreled name. So I think it's going to be a tight match. Liverpool going to be on a high after that victory, so they'll have a spring in a step. Whether there'll be some sort of hangover, I don't know. But I think Wolves are going to go out there and do as well as they can. But I think Liverpool are just going to edge it in the end. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to the Reds.
Yeah, I've gone exactly the same as you. I think Liverpool still be tired after that win. Salah probably won't be ready for that one.
I think he might be back in by then.
He might be, but
head injury. So
it's. I don't think Klopp will risk it just in case he gets injured again for the Champions League final. Firmino, I think, is still out. So they have good squad depth, Liverpool. So they should be okay, and they're at Anfield. And of course, there's a chance that they might win the title if Man City slip on the last day. Wolves.
Yeah, Andy Robertson as well. There's a slight doubt with his calf, I think.
Yeah, that's a blow as well, because they'll have to put Calamity Moreno in as well, which is never a good idea. But Wolves looking to get 60 points. That'd be a great achievement for a promoted side. I believe that's the most that a promoted side's ever got.
Well, that's in the Premier League, because there have been other teams who've come up and actually won the league,
yes.
Of course.
So 2-1. I've gone. Next up, we have terrible Man United against Cardiff. Now, Cardiff relegated last week. You could just say Palace were absolutely fantastic, but of course we covered it in many videos. In my opinion, we do not deserve to go down. I still think Brighton should be down, especially with what's been going on over recent weeks with the refereeing. But I've said it a million times before. I'm not going to go over it again. Go watch the other videos if you want to see it. If you want to see the rants about Cardiff. But Man United, 1 win in 6, which, for a Man United team with their history and everything, is absolutely appalling, quite frankly. But I can't see it getting better. I mean, a team who draws against Huddersfield, a top 6 team, drawing against one of the worst Premier League sides in history, they should be ashamed, really, to be honest. And we did warn you, Man United fans, about Solskjaer when you hired him as well. There's always a good point, and then the wheels just fall off the bus and you go downhill. As in Man United terms, you've dropped to 6th, whereas if you're not, of course, the top 6, you pretty much get relegated bottom as well. But I can see this one being close, to be honest. Cardiff, we are going to be up for it as usual, and I think it's going to be 1-1.
Yeah, but it depends really on Cardiff's midfield. Camarasa went off last weekend, so he's got a slight doubt about him. Arta's been out for a while.
I think still going to be out for the last game.
Yeah, Rolls is out, so and of course Patterson's out, so decimated in the middle midfield. Probably Bakuna will come in there, and probably Gunnarsson, hopefully Bobby Reid as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that is. But Manchester United at home, final match of the season, they're going to really want to prove a point. Well, you'd think they want to prove a point really to for their 6th position, which from their point of view isn't great at all. I think it's going to take a few years to recover and to rebuild, really. And the media are going to be on their backs all the time. But I think their fans really need to give them some slack if they're going to go through a big rebuilding process. And if they finish 6th next year, or 5th even,
that's a good season.
If it's part of the rebuilding process, so be it. But in this match, I think Man United beat Cardiff City, hammered them at Cardiff Stadium earlier this season, although that was on that bounce, the first match they played after Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took the helm. But I think they're going to have a narrow win in this one. I'm going for a 2-1 victory to the Red Devils. Next up, we've got Southampton against Huddersfield. Difficult one to call, this one.
Yep.
I think Huddersfield, it was their first draw in at least 6 matches last weekend. Southampton losing, they lost last weekend, and prior to that they hadn't won in 4 or 5 matches as well. So I think it's going to be a tight affair. I think Southampton will have a little bit too much for the Terriers, and I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to the Saints.
I've actually gone 2-0 to Southampton. They're going to want to finish strong at home, and Huddersfield, you know how good they are away, absolutely shocking. So and their defence, really, they just can't handle it, and I don't think Southampton will be wanting to push on for Southampton will want to, because Burnley are playing Arsenal, if Burnley lose, then they might want to push into 15th place, which would be in my opinion, that's a good season for Southampton, especially for the start of it. So I think it's going to be 2-0 to Southampton. Next up we have Tottenham v Everton. Now Tottenham losing to Bournemouth, had 2 players sent off, which is not good either. Harry Kane, I believe, still injured, and that whole spiel as well. Coming up against an Everton team who are doing reasonably well, only lost once in the last 6 games. But however, it's at Tottenham's new ground, so I kind of can see Tottenham grinding out a narrow 1-0 victory against the Toffees. So that's 1-0.
Tottenham are in action tonight against Ajax in the second leg of the Champions League semi-final. So we'll see how that goes. And they play then on Sunday, as all these matches do, at 3 o'clock. Everton, tough nut to crack at the moment. Everton find themselves in 8th position, doing reasonably well. I think they've only lost once in the last 6 matches. A fine victory over Burnley, a little bit of a tricky side, you know, the physicality and all that Sean Dyche instills in his players. But I think Everton are going to go away to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and grind out a draw in this one, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 scoreline.
Interesting.
Last up, the final fixture of the season is Watford at home against West Ham. Now this one is the trickiest match of the weekend to forecast. Both teams, you know, they can't do anything. They're both in the middle of the table, really. They're playing for pride, playing for that, you know, highest position out of the 2 teams, really. Watford haven't won in the last, they've lost 2 and drawn the last 3 matches, and West Ham are finding a little bit of form at the moment. Had a very good victory against Spurs a couple of weeks ago, and last week they demolished Southampton 3-0. Southampton didn't really turn up in that match, but in this fixture I think it's going to be tight. I think there's just going to be a goal in it. I think both teams will score, and I'm going to actually go for an away win to West Ham in this one. A little bit surprising, probably wouldn't have happened earlier in the season, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to the Hammers.
Interesting. Well, I actually disagree with you. I've gone exactly the opposite to that. I think
it can go either way, this match.
Yeah, I think Watford being at home and West Ham being a bit cagey recently, well, especially their form before they started picking up results, which is good for them. And Javi Gracia is going to want them finishing on the season high, I reckon. And I think the Watford fans will push for that, just to guarantee that 10th position. Maybe if Leicester lose as well, they'll be able to even push higher. Maybe, well, they can't push above Everton, so the 9th is the highest they can finish, and Javi Gracia is probably definitely going to want them to finish there. So I reckon it'll be a 2-1 victory to the Hornets.
Excellent. So that concludes our predictions for week 38, the final weekend of the 2018-2019 Premier League season. As always, I'm going to leave a template of these fixtures in the description. All you need to do is copy and paste them into your comment, and like Matthew Medley and Evan Grismala last week, you can get a shout out in the next video, which will probably be a review of this week, and probably a review as well of the fantasy football final league table and all that. So we'll do a little bit of a roundup video, and there's going to be all sorts of roundup videos coming in the next few weeks, the likes of reviewing our Premier League predictions on how we thought the final table would look, also the Championship roundup. I think I've got a video coming out as well, how we rank the away fans that turned up at the Cardiff City Stadium this season. So there's plenty of videos coming out throughout this summer, and once you finish your exams, you're going to be doing a bit of vlogging.
Yeah, I'll be doing gaming. I'm bringing out loads of videos after June.
Excellent. So. Okay, before we go, is there anything you'd quickly like to add?
Just sub to my channel, link in description below, turn on notifications for when I'm back on YouTube.
Excellent. And if you're not a subscriber of this channel, please subscribe. It's free. You don't have to pay for it, for more great content and all that. But for now, we'll bid you farewell, and we'll see you in the next video.